Grand Rising, y'all. Grand Rising. Oh, these 4K cameras or whatever they are, they really show you for what you is. I do like the quality. These Apple Macs. Yeah, man. I could tell you starting to see them European genes come in. You know, niggas started looking real old. I mean, I look young, but they starting to come in. I had a conversation when I was talking to my grandmother. She was talking about, she said, you know, one of your great grandparents is white. And I'm like, uh-oh. Then Billy Bob genes starting to show. I'm starting to see them. So what I want to do today, I got a couple different updates to a couple different stories. One of them is actually not so much of an update. I'm still kind of tired and stuff. I just woke up not too long ago. I like to get straight to it. I got my coffee and everything. So one of the things I want to talk about was the July 4th address, kind of updating about that. And really, now it's raining, so it didn't get to rain on the firework people's parade. I heard them pretty much all night. They was shooting and carrying on and doing. They had fireworks. I couldn't tell what was a gunshot or what wasn't. But you know, back kind of we kind of close to Mahtomedi. Mahtomedi is by White Bear Lake. It's on kind of the edge. You have Maplewood, you have Mahtomedi. Mahtomedi, it kind of curves around to a certain degree. I think what I'm going to do is, maybe not today, I'm going to take y'all around Mahtomedi one day. And I want to show y'all, there's American flags everywhere. It's more of a conservative kind of suburb. It's not that far away. Even a lot of white people have warned us about White Bear Lake. Like, man, the White Bear Lake ain't for blacks. They let us know that. There's been white folks that know that. They done told us that. Especially like if you had went to like Century College or something like that. Sometimes white students and white people will tell you, you know, you need to, if you black, you need to watch yourself in White Bear Lake. They'll tell you. White Bear Lake police are kind of, you know, they ain't really got too much to do. So, I mean, they haven't, so to say, unalived the black person or whatever, but they just don't, you know, they ain't really too keen to you out there. You know what I'm saying? They don't make it no, I ain't had no issues, but I'm just saying that, you know, it's one of them kind of places, you know, it ain't a whole lot of black people out there. You don't really need to be getting slick at the lip. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to tell you that. I was driving around like the lake. I was kind of bringing my son around kind of by Mahtomedi, and I kind of wanted him to get kind of see the lake, you know. And I noticed there's flags everywhere, like every 100, 200 feet. So they're kind of letting you know. So when we talked about the flag from the so-called white conservative side, their view on the flag, to them, it's a win, because they're like, I can operate while I'm white and I say so. I'm a patriot. We know who the true patriots are, but you know, that's their take. So you just know that when you go into that area and you keep seeing all them flags, yeah, those, they're not thinking about Grace Wisher and Crispus Attucks for the most part. They're imposing what they believe. So anyway, forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah, so that's it's a whole entire lake kind of around that little area. You know what I mean? Another upcoming thing I want to talk about, I guess you could say this is a digital journal, but it's going to be kind of a little mixture of a digital journal story time. I was having a conversation with someone I'm going to bring on the channel, and he's been going to Africa for well over 50 plus years, lived there in different countries and stuff like that, and he's been helping them. Now, this individual has a PhD in agriculture. Has done a whole lot, worked with a lot of big firms, in dealing with helping Africans. Now, he's been going to this country, putting in work as a so-called Pan-Africanist forever. And they've never offered him dual citizenship. They've never rolled out the red carpet as they should have. Now, when it comes to other businesses, the Asians and the white folks, they ain't got no problem letting them in. My issue is I was talking to him and he was like, well, you know, we got to make a connection. But I said, man, why haven't they given you dual citizenship over there? And he pretty much told me in so many words, man, it'd be a gang of scamming to a certain degree. You got to really watch who you deal with over there. And I said, well, that's a damn shame if you've been putting in all that work, but they can't roll the red carpet out for you. And so I said, man, I'm going to have to bring you on the channel and talk about, because he said there's opportunity for technology and black folks to invest. He said, but they not just letting you just come over there willy-nilly. You got to show paperwork. You got to show a business and intention of making money. They're not just going to let you over there like that. And you really got to watch who you deal with, or you might just get scammed. So when black folks talk about this thing where you keep hearing about what black Americans need to do in terms of going over to the motherland and doing, if you ain't with the right folks, you gonna get took. That's not me talking, that's him telling me this. And I said, well, how is it that they're 90% of the population over there? Because a lot of times when they come over here, they'll say, well, we didn't claim black and we didn't see racism, but you're colonized to hell and you don't see the white person doing it. But I said, how is it that they can't just come together over there? They got 1 million black folks over there. Why can't they get their shit together over there? And he basically told me the mind. He said, we colonize over here to a certain degree in the U.S. But he said over there, he said, they too gone, man. He said, so you got to kind of deal with bits and pieces of people like that. This is somebody that's been going over there forever, that actually put in the work. Because you hear a lot of the guys here talking about, you know, well, go to Africa. And most of these dudes, they're not going over there like that. Pan-African, as they, you know, they'll say, well, I'm a Pan-African. And them niggas ain't never been over there. You never really hear them say, you know, you don't hear them trying to see what's up with Malema over there. They ain't really trying to go over there like that. They just talking. And then, you know, they don't really be trying to go over there and work with Dr. Umar. And I know some people have issues with the school or whatever and stuff like that, but I'm just saying that's the prince of Pan-Africanism, right? That's they don't really be going over there trying to mess with him. So, you know, I just flat out asked him. I said, man, why do we keep hearing? And I asked him about a video I seen. There was a dude from West Africa, and he said that foundational blacks are the only people that'll fight for us. And I said, all those folks over there, nobody will fight for them? He said, man, it ain't happening like that, man. They're just not going. I said, they don't want to get with my man that went over there and made that deal with Russia. They can't get past tribalism and it's a bunch of them over there. There's no excuse. He said, man, they ain't trying to really, not all like that. They not like how they could. I said, they got all the minerals and the resources. Can't they just get them Europeans up out of there? Kick them out, send them home. I've always been in favor of that. Like they talk this South African thing where they say, well, you know, they being colonized and the white folks is being mistreated. I'm like, you guys implemented apartheid over there, which black folks here made sure they took it down. Y'all implemented the Afrikaner, the colonizer. You implemented apartheid. Why should I feel sorry for you? Why? Why should I feel sorry for you? Go back to Europe. Since you're so smart and you're so superior, go back to Europe and build it. Yeah, you had to go somewhere else, and with your colonizer spirit, you had to go somewhere else because you couldn't do it back home. You couldn't do it back home. They, you know, I don't know, man, but he told me, he said, man, he said, so we gotta figure out a way. He's still holding on. He's like, man, we gotta figure out. And I'm like, man, how do you sift and filter through? He said, you gotta kind of go, and he knows good brothers over there, so he just has to just deal with them. So he says, you gotta really, really pick and choose, or you gonna get got. You try to buy some land over, he said, you gonna get got. And it's been another thing he said, and we'll talk about this. He says one thing he does not like, and this coming straight from the horse, is the black folks. He said some of the black Americans over there some of them are getting their own enclaves over there that are separate from the West Africans. He said he doesn't like that. He said because he thinks they should be together. Now, are they kind of setting themselves off on their own enclave because they don't feel like they can trust nobody? Now, some people would say, well, they're over there to colonize. That's impossible. We couldn't do that. We couldn't go over there to colonize. We don't have the power nor the numbers, nor the interest. But he did say there's a section of black folks in Ghana or in somewhere, he said, because we were talking about in terms of Ghana. I was saying a damn mosquito. That's a state bird. That they kind of separated themselves off once they got over there. And I don't know if they're doing real estate. I don't know. So that is going to be a subject. I'm going to have an interview with him. And I'm going to ask, we're going to have these hard questions and have this hard conversation. So, you know, that's one thing. So now we're going into story mode, and I'm going to break down and give you updates on some of these different stories. Man, my handwriting's so bad. I didn't even write it. What the hell is that? Let me pause this, man, because my handwriting's so bad. I got to see what I was writing.